This episode of Nintendo Pow Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support Nintendo Pow Block and the Boss Rush Network, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network and see which tier is right for you. Thanks for your continued support. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened at work, and everything, which was literally surprising. But with that, everybody, we're going to get into some housekeeping right now, and you guys know the deal. But as usual, if you want to support Nintendo Power Block and the Boss Rush Network, you can head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can get our supplemental show Expansion Pass 2 weeks early and ad-free, and other perks like early access to other podcasts, voting rights, and more at the tier that's right for you. Again, that's patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. We do have some highlights that you guys should check out. If you missed it or haven't checked it out yet, there is a spotlight with Sarah and Ali of Astro Clock Tower Studios. Courty and Stephanie talked to them, so give that one a look. The dance behind Fretless in July, Stephanie and Pat will be talking to them. And there's more content coming to Boss Rush Network, and we cannot wait for you guys to check them out. So, everybody, you already know what time it is. It's time for Snacktendo! And y'all, I'm going to go first with this one because I only got one snack that I am so disappointed in. So,
wait, you should be disappointed in your snacks?
Oh, I am super disappointed. So we have the Eggo waffle milk flavor. It's one of these like cereal drinks that is milk, but they taste like that brand cereal or flavor. And this one was supposed to be Eggo waffle with like syrup and butter in it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it. And I was just like, let's see how this goes. I start drinking it, and I got halfway through. I'm like, this just tastes like regular milk. Like literally, like it didn't taste anything. I'm like, where's the Eggo flavor? I know how Eggo waffles taste. I know how they smell and everything. I know when butter and syrup is on them, they got a certain taste. None of it. I was so disappointed. So I just chugged the rest of it and was just like, yeah, this is an F. Like big F. I'm like, I was so disappointed. But I will say,
you got to come up with a good one.
I've been drinking a lot of the Snapple apple flavor, so we've been getting like this big quart size, in at work, and we put it in our cooler so it's nice and cold. Man, it's been hitting the spot. I know the Snapple people are just like, why are we selling a lot of Snapple at this big size? Well, because it's only $2.15. And I get one almost every day I'm at work. I'm like, I gotta have one, and it's so good.
That's
They
awesome.
have they have the kiwi strawberry too, which is fine. That's my last resort. But that apple one, when it's nice and cold, when that Snapple is nice and cold with the apple flavor, it's the best. I really wish they did a tropical punch flavor, but they haven't. And I kind of wonder why Snapple haven't did like an orange flavor. It's so weird. They got like a peach tea, they got the apple, they got the fruit punch, and then they got the water flavored ones. I'm just like, wow, you guys never made like an orange flavor. That's interesting, to say the least.
Do you all remember Sobe?
Yeah. Soba
that
with
was
the
like
lizard.
my drink. It had like a lizard on the logo. It was like huge through the early mid 2000s. Started to kind of die off about 2008, 2009.
So,
but like
this is the thing
that
about
was
it.
like
It is in the Midwest. It's in Indiana and it's in Wisconsin. I can literally find you some to ship you some.
Yeah,
They
because
still
they
make it.
had that everywhere. Which I growing up here in Utah, like that was like the drink. Everyone was always showing up to school. I mean, middle schoolers just showing up with their Sobeys, thinking we were all cool, and like
Sobeys and hot Cheetos.
it was good.
Yeah,
They
pretty
were
much.
good. It's funny because
If
I didn't even have Snapple until I got into college, and
Oh,
like I knew about Snapple because it was big in Southern California. My dad used to drink it a lot, but then when we moved up to Utah in 2002, it wasn't widespread in the state. And then when I got to college, it started getting really big out here in the West, at least in the mountain states. So yeah, it was. It's funny. Sobe was that through the 2000s, but Snapple's in there, and I try it every now and then, but I every time I have it, I enjoy it. I just don't get it enough to have an opinion on it, but I do enjoy it. It's good.
it's good.
There's
yeah,
your geography lesson.
it was the strawberry daiquiri and the pina colada for soba for me. Is that white or that pink one?
Hmm.
That was it.
It's that pink one. I don't even remember what the flavors are, but that pink one. It was like it
You're
looked
like,
like
that's my
Pepto
flavor.
Bismol, but it was like delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the strawberry daiquiri.
It's
The pink
good.
one was
It's
the
wicked.
strawberry daiquiri.
So now you have to ship us some, Ed.
Yeah, so Courty
Yeah.
can try it.
I
Courty
Yeah.
was like confused when I said Sobe.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what that is, but all right.
yeah. So, Courtney, what have you been snacking on?
I could tell you about this weekend that I've been snacking on, and it's weird. Okay, so like PAX, we had like our media, right? And it only had
Hmm.
lockers. This media area at DreamHack didn't have lockers, but they had snacks. And they came with this box, and you pulled the box out from the side. It had a whole like ham, tomato, cheese, like sub sandwich with like ruffles, and then it had like all your little condiments inside of it, and a cookie. And this cookie, I've never had a cookie that's so good. So they had a chocolate chip one, an oatmeal raisin one, and a white macadamian, but they put vanilla in the cookies. And it was so good. It was like a chewy, and it was like soft. It's like a grandma cookie. There's a
Hmm.
guy that flew from Germany, and he was in the press room, and he's talking. He's like, everyone says that Texas food is good. He goes, but I've never had a cookie this good. I was like, dude, you're telling me this cookie's delicious. That's my favorite. That's that was like top priority. I see it in my dreams. That cookie. Oh man, it was so good. That's my snack Tendo. 10 out of 10.
Nice, nice. Josh, what have you been snacking on?
Well, then, Courty, you're gonna like my snack Tendo. So I
I'm
don't
ready.
know out there where you guys are at. Have you guys heard of like places like these cookie stores like Crumble or
Ooh yeah.
um, so those are huge. So Crumble started in Utah. So they're literally every single town has them here. So we were every week my wife and I will get Crumble, and we're talking huge cookies. Like we're talking like a fourth of a cookie is probably the size of what a regular cookie should be. And I
Oh
shouldn't be
yeah.
having a whole one, but I do every time I go. But they get
And they put
stuff
like a
like
whole bucket of icing on top of their cookies.
and it's like they'll have like raspberry cheesecake, they'll have like a cookies and cream one, and I'm trying to think of some other ones. I had a banana split one this week. That's the one I was thinking
Mm.
of. It was
Ooh, that
so
sounds good.
good. Yeah, and it's not like your typical like they have chocolate chip, they have snickerdoodles, they have your standard cookies, but they go
Hmm.
all out on what they have like
Oh
for their
yeah.
regular for their like unique stuff coming in. I'm actually pulling up their thing right now, but they have like good cookies, and that's like what I get every. Let's see, we got this week coconut cream pie, chocolate
Ooh,
milkshake, brookie, pink donut, and cinnamon roll. So
that sounds so
they
good.
got some good ones. And then also another place I always go to, and I know this is more unique to Utah than other places. They have these soda shops all over the place where they like they'll take your soda and they'll like mix in fruit flavors or different purees or stuff like
That's
that.
cool.
The one that so there's like three different big ones out here in Utah. The one I go to is called Sodalicious, and it's cute little play on words. But I'll get this one. It's got Diet Pepsi, it's got raspberry puree, and it's got vanilla in it, and it is so
Mm.
good. Another one I get, it's got Diet Mountain Dew, peach, red raspberry, and strawberry, and it's.
Oh man.
I mean, I can go make that at the
Nice.
gas station, but there's something about going to these places. They're good, and I think it's part that. I mean, people do drink alcohol out here in Utah, but it's not as big as other places. So like they've kind of replaced that with soda, and so these soda shops are like huge everywhere. Like the city I'm in has three. They have three with a fourth one coming on the way,
That's
and
awesome.
my city has like 30,000 people. It's not a very big city. So they're just huge out here in Utah. So that's what I've been snacking on. Um, I probably am going to go get a soda later today. So later
Yes, do
tonight.
it.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes.
I think Ed on the cookie crumble or the crumble shop he's talking about, they have a cereal
Uh,
one, just like your Eggo milk. The cinnamon toast crunch one is
Mm-hmm.
so good. You'll have to get
ah,
that one. You'll
They'll have
have
a
to.
couple because
nice.
I did one.
Oh yeah, they have fruity pebble too.
They did a Fruity Pebble. This one was really good. They did a Lucky Charms one where it was like
Mm.
they had Lucky Charms, they had like the frosting, and then they had like the marshmallow stuff underneath the frosting, and then the cookie. Like it
Oh
was
man.
so, and it tasted like what you would imagine a Lucky Charms cookie would taste like. Like it's awful for my health, but it is like the most delicious thing ever.
And
And
you
they
have
have
to
just
break it in
gotten.
fours just so you feel like you're responsible, but you ate that whole cookie that day.
Oh, I do it all the time. I especially when I go mow the lawn on Saturdays. I get the kids to bed, and my wife and I are like, yeah, we earned this, so we'll like get two
Yes.
different ones, split them in half, and we each get half of the two. So
That's awesome. You did your chores, now you get a cookie.
exactly, that's right.
Nice. Well, everybody, it's time for us to talk about what we've been playing in Playing with Power. Josh, what have you been playing with Power?
So not Nintendo related just yet. I've been playing WWE 2K24,
Yes.
um, which anybody who knows me is not the least bit surprised by that. But I mean, I was wrapping. I played it when it first came out back in March, and then PlayStation was removing bunch of Final Fantasy games from its subscription service. So I hurried and got Final Fantasy 15 done, and now I'm coming back to WWE, and it's fun. I mean, it's like any other sports game, a slight upgrade. I think the unique thing that WWE does is they have unique stories that in their campaign mode, and then their showcase mode is always different. This year it was this is the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania, so they did a whole showcase of some of the biggest WrestleMania matches over the years. So I mean, you're looking at stuff from Hulk Hogan back in the '80s to
Oh wow.
Stone Cold and The Rock in 2001. So I mean, I've been playing that, and Nintendo wise, I just started up Monster Hunter Stories 2. I played it for all of 15 minutes last night and fell asleep and haven't gotten into the meat of the game yet. But I'm excited to play that one. So that one I'll have more to report on later on. But my chill game right now is WWE that I just play when I need to break up a story or something like that.
Nice.
Nice. Nice. Courty, what have you been playing with Power?
So when we went to PAX, I talked to this game, like indie developer called Static City Games, and they were showcasing their game World of Grimm. And it's not, like a plug or anything, but I have been like, I think I'm 16 hours deep into that game right now, and it is so good. So it's like a fast paced card game, based on like Brother
Mhm.
Grimm's like world. So you get like Snow White, Rapunzel, like all the fairy tales that they have, and it's kind of like Hearthstones, but Brothers Grimm styled. And so you get like all those classic characters in the card game. So yeah, I've been playing that. It's so cool, and it's cool to go off and like, so they have like Rapunzel and Snow White. They are based on like their own character design. They're not like mimicking or, getting Disney involved in it, but like they like hired like artists to come and create these cards for them. And so like just to see like different artists they have picked up on, to create like the next Rapunzel or Snow White, it's really cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right.
What
All
about you,
right.
Ed?
Well, for me, I am playing Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I'm at the final part of the game where all I need to do is just fight the boss. And then I just restarted Final Fantasy 9 on Series X. So I'm right at the beginning of it. I just got out of the forest. The first part where this forest is petrified, it turns to stone with one of the other characters. So I'm about to begin my journey, and I played Final Fantasy 9 all the way up to the third disc on the regular PlayStation one, because there was four discs when it came out, and I never got past the third disc because for some unknown reason, my third disc wouldn't load at all in my
Mm.
PlayStation One, and I didn't touch it or anything. I think I had rented the game or something. I didn't touch it or anything, but the that third disc didn't load, and this is when I had to turn the PlayStation One upside down for it to load to play the games.
What the
Yeah,
heck?
the regular PlayStation One, it had a problem because after a there was something about cleaning the PlayStation One, something about the cover still allowing dirt to get in or something. So you would put your game in and you're thinking it's going to load at the top. Well, sometimes it will stop loading all your games. So you would have to turn your whole PlayStation upside down and the system will load because it was kind of forcing the laser to go down. So it was
Yeah.
kind of scratching your disc, but that's the way that you had to play the PlayStation 1. Even when they did the PS1 mini, you still had to turn it upside down. For some
Oh
unknown
man.
reason, during that time, um CD playing video games on CDs, if it wasn't like the Sega Genesis or the TurboGrafx 16 and stuff like that, or even PC, um a lot of the CD-ROM stuff wouldn't load your games, and sometimes it would get scratched. PlayStation 1 was like really terrible at it. So
Mm.
um it would scratch your games because you had to turn it upside down. Even though it was easier to play import games on PlayStation One, the it was just a moment where there was just some games I just couldn't play because it just wasn't loading right. So by the time we got to PlayStation Two, GameCube, and literally Xbox, um that's when like CD-ROM gaming, or like playing those CDs and stuff, actually was better. The laser lens could read games easier. But then like my Xbox died on me. It started reading games and stuff. So like it got so my Xbox got so bad that it didn't even get past the beginning screen. It said Xbox, and then it went to where you can listen to CDs and stuff. So
Wow.
I was just like, oh great. So um the only the only Nintendo problem that I had with a CD was the Wii, and I went and got that fit. I sent it off and got the fix, but that was the white version. My black Wii
Mm.
never had a problem or anything. Literally any Nintendo system I had, I didn't have a problem besides the Game Boy. Um, my down button wouldn't work for some unknown reason on my Game Boy, and I had just got it for Christmas, and I was just like, well, I just gotta play whatever I can. And I didn't get another Game Boy to Game Boy Color. And once I got the Game Boy Color, all my games that I couldn't finish on my regular Game Boy, I finished on Color,
Oh,
and
nice.
everything. So I was happy to do that. But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Final Fantasy 9. I started from the very beginning. Um, and I know there are some more games that will be coming out, but I'm trying to finish Paper Mario. Like I'll probably finish that by this weekend, because I never got to finish it on GameCube. I
Hmm.
own it on GameCube, but I can't find my disc. I think my nephew have my GameCube version. Uh,
Oh
but
no.
yeah, I never got to finish it on GameCube when it came out. Because this was the thing about it. Uh, I purchased my games in my GameCube when they came out because I was in college. I had a job, so I was at a point where I could buy my own games. And of course, with most Nintendo games, I was straight buying them. Going to GameStop and paying the $50 because I literally knew that these games are going to be hard to find, even though nobody is really buying it. I remember everybody feeling like the GameCube was such a kid system and nobody wouldn't care. And now look how everybody want the GameCube stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, nowadays like buying a GameCube game is like 200-300 bucks.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, the original Thousand Year Door is like one of the more like the most expensive games out there on the market. I mean, having this remake released is really helps people who want to play because I never played it. I play okay. Played like the first hour of the game, um, and never really. We rented it, and I think I got caught up with school or something like that. And my brothers played it and either beat it or something, but I never got around to playing it. So, and I had wanted to play because the original Paper Mario is my favorite, one of my favorite games. So
Yeah.
have wanted to play this one, but every time I've looked up the price, I'm like, I'm not forking out $200 for this
mm-hmm.
game. So it's nice to see it come out in this format, and a lot of I think I saw Nintendo Live calling it the definitive way to play the game right now.
Yeah, it
So
is.
I I'm glad it's out so we can people like me who didn't have it 20 years ago can experience it.
And it's so funny because people cried for this game to come back out. It did. People cried for Golden Sun to come back out. It did. Like both parts are on NSO on Game Boy Advance, that so people could go out and play. And it's just like, okay, Nintendo, you got all the goodies out. What can we expect? What I don't know what if anyone is asking for any other game because when like me and you, Josh, we was talking for expansion pass, and like I mentioned to you, I'm like, I would love to play a remake of the Twin Snakes, or I would love Twin Snakes to come to Switch or something. Eternal Darkness, I would love for Remedy to remake it, but if not, I would love for that game to come back. Like if Nintendo is going to be porting GameCube games and stuff from their first party lineup, Twin Snakes and Eternal Darkness are literally a must at this point because I'm like, there's so much potential in GameCube. Switch has made it the system to give it a second life. Um, and I feel like with Sega and the Dreamcast, that could also happen. But not ironically, crazily enough, I don't think Nintendo would do justice for the Dreamcast stuff. I think Xbox would, as weird as it seems, because Sega and Microsoft do have a good relationship. Not saying that Sega and Nintendo don't have a good relationship because they
Yeah.
do, but I could see Series S and X moving systems uh if they were releasing Dreamcast games and don't even put it on Game Pass. Be like, if you want the Dreamcast experience on Xbox, you guys could buy the games digitally. And I think people will pick up some to play digitally. You know, some people might do some other things, but I'm like, man, if I could play Dreamcast games in this high definition, 60 frames, um, HD, like if I could play in this kind of manner, I would definitely be picking up a Series X or S if I didn't have one to play 'em. Because like Dreamcast is the arcade system of its time. And I'm like that. I feel like the Xbox brand would could be the second coming of the Dreamcast system. So we literally would have the best of both worlds: Nintendo doing their GameCube stuff, and Xbox doing their the Sega stuff, Dreamcast, and whoever wanted to do Saturn could do Saturn games, because that literally is the only system that people are really missing. Because I don't because the Sega Saturn is just a weird history, a very weird history. So,
I
um,
feel like there should be a few games that should get a second chance on the whole next Switch potentially.
yeah,
I doubt it. I will ever see it happen, but I would kill to have a remake of the Lost Kingdom series, Lost Kingdom 1 and Lost Kingdom
yes,
2. I would love it. I would love them to remaster it, tell the story a little bit better, and just roll with it. But it's not going to happen. It won't
no,
ever.
you may be surprised. Like if they could do it and they know they'll get guaranteed sales of it, they'll probably do it.
Yeah. It would be so nice.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.
Well, everybody, we're gonna get into family news, and we have 3 stories for you guys. We're gonna start with this first story that comes from Nintendo Life. Yacht Club Broadcasting Shovel Knight 10th Anniversary Presentation. So, the story says Yacht Club Games has announced it will be hosting a special edition of its broadcast to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Shovel Knight. This event will take place on June 14, 2024, and will be live streamed via YouTube with a runtime of approximately 20 minutes. You can see your local time and date for this broadcast by pressing, looking at the play. If you find the video, you can check it out. The broadcast will kick off a year-long celebration, including new updates, announcements, merch, and some dazzling surprises. Ooh, what could that be?
Ooh.
Sean Valesco, who was the designer at Yacht Club, says, "For the past 10 years, we worked tirelessly to create fun and challenging games for you. As we're grown and evolve, our commitment to our community and craft has only strengthened. Get ready to celebrate a decade of digging. We're just getting started." So,
Oh, that's so exciting.
so there is a possibility Shovel Knight 2. Who knows? Like, and would it be a Nintendo exclusive? Because the first Shovel Knight was a Wii U exclusive, um, and then later on was their console exclusive, um, expired, and then it went to other places and everything. So, will
Hmm.
you guys be checking this out, or have you guys even tried Shovel Knight?
I've played Shovel Knight. I think if it went on the new Switch, I would. But if it was on this Switch that it's on, I probably wouldn't because it's Shovel Knight.
What about you, Josh?
I mean, this is one of those ones that I've seen and I keep wanting to try, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I think the thing that blows my mind is it's been 10 years. When I saw
Yeah.
that pop up, I'm like, no, 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 no. And then I realized, yeah, 2014 was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's one of those ones. It looks like something that'd be right up my alley. It's just not something I've had. And maybe that's the thing that finally gets me to try it out and to play it. And I'm one of those people that if they release something on the old Switch, on the current Switch, we can't call it old yet, but I'll probably play it because I likely would wait a little bit before I got the new Switch anyway. So having that there to kind of tide me over till I get to that point would be nice. But yeah, I think I if if I had an excuse to play, I think if they released a new game, I definitely would hop in. But I'm
Yeah,
not ready for this game to be 10 years old.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
right.
Well, I know for the Switch they have the definitive version, so they got all the DLC, the full game, and they have the amiibo stuff. There's other games in the Shovel Knight series that's also for Switch and other series. Just to give you guys a brief history about Yacht Club, because I actually did get to talk to him with my friend Larry on World 1 podcast, and we got to talk to him about this game and had a great conversation about Castlevania Mega Man. It was so good. But uh Yacht Club, some of the developers from there came from Way Forward. So they left Way Forward and formed their own company. And Shovel Knight was their first game that they put in the Kickstarter. It met the goal. It came out on Wii U and was very successful. I think it also came on PC. Throughout the years, the game just kept selling and selling. Um, physically and digitally. PlayStation got a special edition with Kratos, and Xbox got it with Battletoads, because at that time they own Rare. So Battletoads was like theirs, and we just only got that first edition. Then we got the 3DS version that came out with a soundtrack for it. And there's just, like I said, there's been other games in the series of Shovel Knight, like side games that have came out also. So 10 years, yeah. It was a year for Wii U for Nintendo. I think that's when Bayonetta 2 also came out that year, I believe. But yeah, 10 years celebrated. I'm definitely going to be watching it. Because, like, even though it is 20 minutes, I'm happy to celebrate 10 years of just this game, this iconic game actually being out. And we know that we've been waiting for a part two. We know they got their game with Mina, like their next game, and we know that they published another like the Cyber Ninja game. They published. So like Yacht Club is like kind of really established as their own independent game. So we're probably going to see discounts on a lot of their stuff digitally. There might be some re-releases in stores, like Restock Amiibo. It's a possibility.
Shovel Knight to
You know,
Smash. It's happening.
I could see it.
probably
No, it's
probably
not going to
next.
happen. Next
Yeah,
Smash, yeah. I mean, it's
yeah.
been an assist trophy for the last since just this past game, but I mean that was one that everybody was clamoring for, and I think it would have been a great fit. But I mean, no, it's not coming this one. It'll come. They're done with DLC for Ultimate.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm super excited to check it out. We'll definitely be talking about it on next week's Nintendo Power Block. So I am super excited with that, or I should say, the week after the presentation. I should say, we'll be talking about that in news. So we're gonna move on to our next story, because Shiver Entertainment has updated its website after being acquired by Nintendo. The studio will continue to support and develop games for multiple platforms. Uh, and I like this. So everybody, if you see it, it's like a blue cover with the Nintendo logo in the beginning. Which I gotta say, did you guys see the picture of the new Nintendo uh logo at their home company in Seattle, Washington?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
So it's now, how it had that stone kind of look to it, that with the gray Nintendo around it. If you look at it now, like if you're taking a look at it now, it has that red kind of cover to it with the white Nintendo on it. Uh,
Oh.
for it, changing their they ended up changing uh their like company outlook thing for it. It's really really nice. So because like Nintendo for some reason, I think they're changing the look of some of their stuff when they're intro stuff. So you'll get the full that bright that red and then the white Nintendo. So it's kind of very simplistic, uh, kind of look to it. Um, but with this, it says Shiver is a wholly owned subsidiary of Nintendo Company Ltd. That's the new image that Shiver Entertainment. Last month, Nintendo announced it had entered into an agreement with Embracer Group to acquire the Miami, Florida-based team Shiver Entertainment. It seems no time has been wasted with the Shiver Entertainment website already receiving a few updates to its homepage. Underneath the company's logo, you can now see how Shiver is a wholly owned subsidiary of Nintendo Company Ltd. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see the same thing with a massive Nintendo banner on display, which you can see. Uh, if you guys check out the story on Nintendo Life, you guys can see it. In Nintendo's original announcement, it mentioned how the company's aim was to secure high-level resources for porting and developing software titles. Shira's focus will also remain the same, being to port and develop software for multiple platforms, including the Switch. Shira has previously worked on porting and developing games like Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy to the Switch. You can find out more about this acquisition and Shiver Entertainment on previous coverage on Nintendo Life. So yes, they are the ones that ported the, I'm sorry to say, the terrible and disappointing Mortal Kombat 1, but they did say
Terrible
Hogwarts
and
Legacy.
disappointing.
Yeah, it is a mess on Switch. Even with the
I
updates, it's
mean,
just like it's just not the way to play Mortal
the
Kombat
story
1.
mode's nice.
I mean, well, that's fine and dandy, but like, there's just a lot of technical issues. I would just say
Yeah.
that. I don't have it. I still got Mortal Kombat 11 still wrapped up, and
Oh
I got it
wow.
on. I got it digitally on sale, and still haven't started the game.
No, I
So,
think this is good though to get them under the umbrella there because I mean we know when a company knows how to work with the hardware limitations, they can really
hmm
excel. I mean, Monolith Soft has figured it out. Um, so I think having this under, you're not going to. Hopefully, you won't get the Mortal Kombat thing again because now they're going to be working a lot closer with Nintendo. And the nice thing too is that opens up, I think, a nice little avenue to Warner Brothers because Shiver works a lot with Warner Brothers on
hmm
in a lot of which they publish a lot of their games. So like Hogwarts was mentioned. Um, I think that opened up a nice little avenue that because Shiver already has a good relationship with them with bringing Shiver under Nintendo is just going to keep that open. And I mean, you have to just think of moving forward. The eyes are on the Switch's successor, so this is one that could bode well once you get deeper into the to the next console's life cycle. You can start getting some decent um, ports as well as maybe some Warner Brother games heading over that way that would have maybe skipped the console previously. So it's cool to see. I mean, it's as simple as just updating their logo, but I mean, what it means is actually pretty exciting for Nintendo fans, especially in building out that third party support. At least from the way I'm looking at it, I know they're going to do a lot more first party as well, but I think third party wise, there's a lot of potential there.
yeah. So yeah, this news came out of nowhere. I'm assuming that Shiver and Nintendo and Embracer Group probably already had this business deal months ago. And once everything got finalized, they were able to say that, yeah, we fully own them, we fully purchased them. And I'm glad that, this is a different Nintendo that they're still able to work on other games. Because, if to be honest, that's more money for Nintendo, and to have it to be like, oh man, we got a port from Shiver, who is owned by Nintendo, so we kind of got Nintendo's something connected to Nintendo on our other platforms, which would be cool. So, uh, and who knows, maybe this will help NSO in the future. There's a lot of possibilities with this. So,
Plus,
um,
you get a studio in Miami. I mean, come on, that's just awesome.
yes.
Now Nintendo can go live it up on South Beach.
Yeah,
We're
they
gonna
can.
get into our last story, which is kind of, I'm sorry everybody to be a downer, but this news actually broke today. Dead by Daylight developer Behavior Interactive is laying off up to 95 employees, and this is from Game Informer, so you guys could check the story out more. Dead by Daylight developer Behavior Interactive is laying off roughly 95 employees. The company has announced the majority of those that will be affected, 70 of the 95, work at the studio's Montreal, Canada office, as reported by GameIndustry.biz. As for why, the company cites restructuring as it pursues a clarified vision around multiple strategic changes. Behavior says these layoffs will not affect its service business or its development on Dead by Daylight. To pursue this clarified vision, lead in horror, lead in service, and explore the possibilities of location based entertainment, Behavior will implement multiple strategic changes to its corporate structure, improving the distinction between its product, production, business, development, and marketing resources, a press release reads. As a result of these changes, the company will reduce its teams by up to 95 employees, 70 of whom are based in Montreal. Each of these individuals offer valuable contributions to Behavior and will be fully supported by the organization in pursuing the next step in their careers. Outside of Dead by Daylight development, Behavior is helping the Courty developer Supermassive Games develop the casting of Frank Stone, a single-player horror game set in the Dead by Daylight universe. These layoffs will arrive a few months after the studio laid off roughly 45 people at the same Montreal office back in January, and join the ever-growing list of disheartening layoffs and studio closures in 2024.
It's just sad.
Yeah, it's yeah. I actually end up. I literally feel like they're gonna end up closing that studio. So, um, but we won't know. But Josh, how do you feel about this?
I mean, the you were reading out of the Game Informer article, and they also. I mean, I don't expect this to be read, but if you go in there right after what you had just finished reading, they list all of the different studios that have laid off in recent months, and it's just
Yeah.
when they have it laid out like that, and you realize the how wide of a scope this has become. And I mean, 90 might not seem like much compared to some studios that are laying off. PlayStation laid off 900 across its various studios, but I mean, still, I mean, I've been laid off. I'm still looking for work after being laid off. It sucks. It's hard. It's not something that anyone wants to be in, and it's just, I think it speaks to the where gaming is at right now, especially on the development side. They seem to have gone very heavily for the bloated budgets, and now are realizing that that might not be the best approach. And now people who they brought on in that time are paying the price for it by
Mm-hmm.
most likely no fault of their own. And it's disheartening to see. It's good to see a course correction and to create something more sustainable. But the downside of that is getting that many layoffs, because there are a lot of talented people out there and a lot of people who could make a lot of good things. I mean, with how many people they've laid off, you could at least open 2 or 3 new studios at least
Yeah.
Yeah.
by that. So it's sad. It's really disheartening to see. And I mean, you just hope that these talents can land on their feet somewhere and get something that's going to be really somebody who's going to really appreciate what they can do. And I'm not saying that um, the Dead by Daylight developers don't, but I mean, it's just been a sad reality that we've just seen each seems like each week another studios either shuttering or just laying off a large amount of their staff. So thanks for that, Ed. I'm depressed now.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting to see that, with a lot of studio layoffs is, and of course, even if a game sold very well and everything, there's still gonna be people lay off, because people, like, even at Rockstar Games, who sold bajillion copies of a game of Grand Theft Auto, and even with the online stuff, they had to lay people off. And it's kind of amazing to see that, you know with all of these layoffs, Nintendo reporting that they like their company employment went up. And I'm like, those are the stories I think a lot of us want to hear. Is that, like, if there are going to be stories where these companies, grow bigger, and do grow, um, to a point where they don't have to lay people off for a while, because the thought of the layoffs for a lot of people is be like, okay, the pandemic stuff, now that this kind of, you know it was at that time, and it now kind of doesn't feel like it exists employee wise, that the reduction of all the people that they had, um is now coming in, laying people off and stuff. Um, but I'm like, some people companies games just haven't sold, on these high end systems, and even on PC and stuff. Like, it's kind of it gets a little bit worrying, because if we're having a real talk about success, if we're talking about video games, Nintendo is the only one that's really having success, as a company, with games and with hardware. And even though a lot of them might not hit game of the year status, you cannot deny, looking at the Nintendo Switch's library, and looking at the sales of the Nintendo Switch, and how people are talking about games that they rather play on the Switch. Like, Nintendo has kept people talking about their products, and their stuff keeps on selling. And then when it gets to a point where people feel like they need to go buy that Nintendo game, they're going to do everything in their power to get that Nintendo game. It might be a little expensive, it might surprise you. Grandma and grandpa might be getting rid of some Nintendo stuff and market 50 cents, and you be like, oh, I'm gonna take this Pandora's Tower for Wii for 50 cents. Grandma don't know. You would literally be surprised. uh so it's, for behavior, interactive, it is sad that they that this is happening, but I do hope those 95 employees do find work. And I don't know how long behavior is going to be supporting them, but hopefully they do find work, and hopefully they don't have to move to another city or relocate to be working for the developer. um
Yeah.
so, Courtney, do you have anything before we get
I
on to
mean, just
the?
in general, like layoffs suck. I've seen it a lot in the game industry right now, but like it's also happening like across other companies outside of the gaming industry, which is
Mhm.
it's just sad to see like everybody's getting laid off, and it's like I got laid off 2 months ago, and it wasn't even game related, and so like, and then I've had a few other friends that just got laid off from Walmart, and it's like, oh, and Walmart does that too. There's no way that they do that also. So it's kind of weird to see in here, but I feel like if everyone works hard, they'll figure it out. Baby
Yeah,
steps, I guess. Maybe it's a well-deserved break for everybody.
yeah.
Just a small one.
So,
Just a fun
well,
one, you know.
well, you guys, we got a kind of another segment. This one is called By the Numbers, and Game Informer posted their top scoring games from their reviews, and I kind of want to give get your guys' opinion about this. On Game Informer, they got Game Informer's top scoring reviews of 2024. This just came out, and the story says each year the Game Informer staff reviews a ton of games, but only a select few earn the highest scores. While you can find our full list of reviews, we know that some people are just looking for the best of the best. So we gather our top scoring reviews of 2024 right here. Whether you're talking highly anticipated blockbusters like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, or surprise hits like Helldivers 2 and Balatro, we have you covered with all the most played games reviewed in 2024. Be sure to bookmark it this page and check back frequently. Because they're going to be adding more games. So if you guys want to do that, you can go to the Game Informer's website. Shout out to them. And shout out to Matt Stromer. Uh, he is one of the editors. Like he helps them out at Game Informer. So shout out to them. I should say. I have to correct myself. Shout out to them. Uh, so we're gonna start with their 9.5s, and I wanna read all the games and everything. And I kind of want to get your guys' overall opinion. If there is a game you want to talk about, you can. But I want to give you overall because I looked at this list, and it's very surprising for it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wait, quick question. 9.5, is it
yes,
like the best game for Game Informers right now, or is that like the worst to the best?
it it's scored the best. So the 9.5 out of
Hmm.
10. So right now
Okay.
9.5 is the highest that they're going with. So Balatro and Prince of Persia The Lost Crown both scored 9.5. Mini Shoot Adventures is 9.25. Animal Well, Asgard Wrath 2, Children of the Sun, Dragon's Dogma 2, Helldivers 2, Sinuous Saga, Hellblade 2, and With My Past all have a 9. Botany Manor, Indica, Lorelli and the Laser Eyes, Persona 3 Reload, Stellar Blade all have 8.75. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, MLB The Show 24, Unicorn Overlord, WWE 2K24 all score 8.5. Okay, so
Hmm.
um let's start with the 9.5s with Balatro and Prince of Persia The Lost Crown. I'm surprised that Balatro I could see because there's been a lot of talk about that game. Definitely on Switch. There's been it's already been nominated as almost a game of the year. Like it's in the nomination for a lot of people, even with the indies. But Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is outbeat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and
Yeah.
Infinite Wealth. That
And
is
Persona 3.
insane.
And
And
Persona
Persona
3
3.
Reload.
Yeah.
That's what I'm confused about. It's like, is this best to worst or worst to best? What the heck?
Even though the Lost Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown didn't sell as much, it surprisingly is at that high. And our very own David Lasby talked about this game. He's being it. I have it on Switch. I'm going to getting back into it. Working on that game and finishing it. But what did you guys think about just between those two games? And I gotta say, Balatro is a card game, so if you haven't seen it or heard of it, that's probably why. It's a game that just came out of nowhere and it just got people hooked.
Yeah, I've never heard of it to
Mm.
be honest, and I do enjoy a good deck builder, but don't know. I'm not up to date on it. I mean, to me, I'm not particularly surprised it's that high. I think what it beat might be surprising, but everybody I've ever talked to that's played that game has absolutely loved it. Has said it sets a new standard for 2D Metroidvanias, at least at that level
Mm-hmm.
of production. and
Hmm.
has had nothing but good things. And what's remarkable to me is we're what, a couple months removed from an insane amount of bad press for Ubisoft that
Yeah,
like was completely taken out of context. Like I wrote an entire editorial about how poor the reporting was among that, but regardless, it was right around the time that this game came out, and you know, I think a lot of people are gritting their teeth at the fact that this was a good game, but it came from Ubisoft, and a lot of people don't like that company. And so to see it up that high, I think is what's why it's surprising is because of how the sentiment around Ubisoft and less about the game, at least in my opinion. I think that's why people are always shocked when it's up that high. But everyone I've talked to has said that it is such a good game. You mentioned David Lasby, really enjoying another one of our writer Andrew Millard on our writing team has absolutely sung that game's praises enough for me because I'm hit and miss on Metroidvanias. I enjoy them, but I'm not chomping at the bit to get to them, and
Yeah.
that is they've talked me into wanting to try it out. So I'm not particularly surprised just given what I've seen around it, but I think what makes it so surprising is that it's an Ubisoft game and how much people absolutely despise Ubisoft, especially with all
yeah.
that bad press they got around this game's release that had nothing to do with this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking this game. It really earns the score. It really is a good game, and the controls are tight. The action is fast. It's fluid. It is a really great game. I feel like it's a game that should be in everybody's library. If you like Metroidvanias and stuff, or the Prince of Persia series.
I guess I have to try it out. I'm just shocked that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Persona 3 are like below it because those should be like 9.5 games, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Even last year's like winner, where is it? In Kedia in Indica, it's at 8.75. That one should be in one of the 9 racks too. And so it's just kind of weird that that's there, you know. Out of the lineup of games,
Mm-hmm.
those two. I mean,
Yeah.
come
Well.
on.
Well, Mini Shoot Adventures is a 9.25. I know it's a PC game. I really don't have nothing to say about it. Did you guys? I've never heard of it, so I'm just gonna
Mm-mm.
take their word for it.
Yeah, I'll take their word for it. I mean, it's a cute game. I think it's something I would play, but I just haven't.
Hmm.
But still, out of
It
the,
looks
you know,
sorry, go ahead.
out of the big guys, it's 9.25.
It looks like it's got some relation to Minecraft, although I don't think it does. Just when that popped up, I'm like, oh, is this like a Minecraft spin-off? But the more I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think it has anything to do with Minecraft other than the font looking very similar to the Minecraft font. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not a PC gamer. I'm not well up on that. And this game's been out for 2 months.
Hmm.
So this is the very first I've heard of it. So it's how
Same.
disconnected I am from PC.
Well, we're gonna move on to the nines. So, Animal Well, Asgard Wrath 2, Children of the Sun, Dragon's Dogma 2, Helldivers 2, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and With My Past. So, I could say With My Past, Children of the Sun, Asgard Wrath 2. I have no information about. And yeah, like I said, Church Son. Dragon's Dogma, I do too. I don't have much information, nor Helldivers 2. Mostly Suena, Saga, Hellblade 2, and Animal Well. Okay, so I'm going to say, Courtney, I'm going to actually let you start on this one if you have any
Okay.
opinions.
Yeah, I think Dragon's Dogma 2 and Helldivers 2 is a well-deserved 9 for this. With my past, it looks like a game I would play. It also looks like it came out recently too.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just take the L on this and trust this person also. Um, but I don't know about the Sinuous Sega, Children of the Sun. the Animal Well and Asgard Wrath 2. Those aren't kind of games that I would play.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's him. It's this guy. That's what he chose. So I mean,
I mean, it's all from different reviewers for those
yeah.
games, so it's just their score is put together. Um,
Mm,
so Senua Saga, I
yeah.
don't believe that it deserves a 9. I think
Mm,
this should have been in a 9.5
mm,
category. Uh because of the game is like I said, me and Corey, it's graphically impressive. It's a great story. There's some great shots in cinematography in it. I know people have been loving the photo in it, but it really speaks a lot. Like, it's a different direction from the first game. And it's just like, I love when Ninja Theory does something like this, able to tell a story and really give you an experience for it and stuff. But it's like, some of the combat, yeah, it's not all that great with the puzzles. It's here hit or miss. Um, but I do like a lot of the lighting. I do like Senua more in this game because not only she's dealing with the voices that's in her head, she's dealing with the voice of her father. She's dealing with struggling with confidence. And shout out to Ninja Theory for kind of taking a little bit of Breath of the Wild, and what I'm not going to try to spoil one of the parts of the game, but I'm glad they kind of took something out of from Breath of the Wild and input it into Senua Saga, even though it is linear. The feeling of it is so good, and it shows something different about Senua, and I love that. Especially the ending. If you guys want to see the ending, you can, but the ending is so artistic, and the way that Ninja Theory pulled it off, I'm like, I told Corey that I left the game speechless. I just couldn't say anything after I finished the game. It took me a while to like really think about what I just experienced, and I had to say my opinions for Corey when we was gonna talk about it. Um, but it's highly up there for game of the year. Like no joke, it really is high up there for game of the year. Now the reason why it's not a 10 for me or anything, because there are some issues, like I said, with the combat. Other than that, and a little issues with the puzzles and some of the secrets and stuff. But other than that, I love how this game was executed. It was well worth the 5 years plus that it was been in development. Um, Animal Well, uh, so Stephanie might get on me about this. uh, I think I probably would have put Animal Well in an 8.5.
I'm shocked to see how many nines there are. There's more nines in this category than like
Yeah.
any of them.
Yeah. I haven't played Dragon's Dogma 2. And shout out to Grayson Morales. He is more well versed. So I definitely would love to hear from him what he thinks about this. So I'm gonna reach out to him and just like ask him if he could just give a little statement, and next week hopefully I could speak on it through his words because he's more educated. Helldivers 2, I could see this as being as a 9. Um, I haven't played it or anything, but seeing as many people loved it and enjoyed it, it really, for some people, is on their Game of the Year nomination list also. Josh, what are your thoughts?
So, I haven't played Hellblade 2. I don't own an Xbox, but I have heard amazing things about it. I mean, last week when we met up, Ed, you were singing its praises. I've heard it's just been very good. And I was reading over the review that Game Informer gave it, trying to figure out what they knocked the point off for. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think there's terribly a lot of difference between 9 and a 9.5, but I couldn't quite see what they were knocking, why it didn't reach as high as it did, because they sung its praises like no other in this review. So I don't know. One of the things I think is interesting, just looking at it, you mentioned you didn't know much about Asgard's Wrath 2, and I didn't either. But that's a VR game. It's on the Meta Quest 3 as well
Mhm.
as the Meta Quest 2. So it's an exclusive to VR, and you don't see many VR games ranking all that high. And so seeing that up there means they may be starting to crack it a little bit, because VR games largely they don't seem to perform as well. They don't get the praise that these other traditional console games get. So seeing a game like that up there on that list with a 9 out of 10 ranking is just, it's interesting to me to see, because it's like, so where do we go from there if they're starting to finally crack the code on making quality VR games that are going to get these high rankings? And so I'm excited to see. I mean, we saw a few of them, but it's nothing VR wise has ever caught me enough to say I have to have a VR set. And I don't know if Asgard's Wrath 2 is going to do that, but I mean, it's heartening to see that it's up there, because that is really the next area of gaming that has not been quite tapped yet. So that was interesting for me to see in there, and everything else. I've heard of Helldivers 2, Dragon Dogma 2. You both had said that something in there. The rest I'm not as familiar with, but yeah, I want to play Hellblade 2. Everybody sung its praises so much that it's not enough for me to go buy an Xbox for it, but it's actually kind of close. So
Yeah,
So it's the
yeah.
same thing as the VR. You have to buy the VR to try this game now.
yeah, and that's the thing, is this, it's just interesting to me, because I don't know enough about VR or anything about what makes that good. But when it said Quest 3, Quest 2, I'm like, what in the world is that? And so then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, so yeah, that's interesting to me. That's something that's really interesting for this year so far.
Well, for the 8.75, but Bodini Manor, Indica, Lorelli, and the Laser Eyes, Persona 3 Reloaded, and Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade and Persona 3 Reloaded, I can understand. I can't speak about Lorelli and Indica and Botanimi Manor. I can't speak on those because I have not played them. But Stellar Play, I've been seeing videos of it. I watched the whole gameplay of it, where most of the boss battles and the ending. So, um, but it got great music. Um, the new game plus seems to be a great way to play it and experience that game. Persona 3 Reloaded, since it's the PSP version of Persona 3, I can understand why I got the 8.75. I will say, because I beat Persona 3 on PlayStation 2, fast version, FES. So I'm excited to play more Persona 3 Reloaded. I have the game, now get this everybody, so please deal with me. I have the game digitally on Xbox and on Switch, and I got it physically at PAX do limited run for Nintendo Switch after I found out that Courty brought it. I was just like, he showed it to me, he's just like, yeah, look what I got. And I googly moogly gasped, but I'm like, ah, where did you get this? He's just like, I got it at the No Limit. When I tell you that if Sonic the Hedgehog needed some competition in running, I would have been him, because I ran out. Courtney, you probably was in the room, but I told everybody, I'm like, oh, I'm going to limit run, and I left the media room to go, because I think we all was there, because Pat was in the room too and everything, and I hit them up, and they still had a copy, and I'm just like, I need to have, because I didn't know they were doing physical. That limited run had it. I literally thought, because Sega owned Atlas, that they would be publishing it. No, limited run did it, so I snagged my physical copy at PAX East, and I'm super excited. In fact, uh, Ta-da! It's
Nice.
still wrapped up, so I'm super excited. Cannot wait to play that. So, but yeah, with this, I could literally say this is a good list. What about you, Courty?
Um, I don't understand that Stellar and Persona 3 could have gotten the 9. You know, it's like 20 point 25
Mm-hmm.
points that they needed. The other ones I would say yeah, they deserve the 8.75. Um, oh well, kind of. Indica should definitely be like in the 9.5s.
Have you
Because
played it, Indica?
I have this. The story is it's really good. It's very like what is that? Last of Us.
The
It's
Last of
like that
Us.
type of yeah. It's type of that story. The one that kind of like holds onto your heart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I
Is
think
it
that
like
that
a
one.
walking simulator or?
Yeah, it's a mix of like God of War, Last of Us. It's like that type of game
Oh,
where you can
okay.
like kind of walk into the story, but you kind of like change up the story if you wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit.
I'm
You're
not.
like a
I'm
nun.
not.
It.
I'm gonna have to check it out on Xbox because I've seen that
I think
it's
you're gonna have
available there.
to. You
I
need
think
to.
it's.
It's
I think
good.
it's a. I think it's a game that just came out of nowhere. I didn't even know
Mhm.
about this game.
Yeah. It,
It's a
it it
month old.
it came
It's not
out.
that old.
Yeah, it just came out recently, but they were in a few of the Summer Game Fest showcases last year. And
Okay.
I think Kim Chica just demoed it, or maybe like 2-3 months ago ish demoed it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to demo it too. So it was
Yeah,
good.
looking at it, PC it came out May 2nd, and then console PS5 and Xbox Series X and S May 17th. So this thing for console
Oh,
is only like 2 weeks old.
2 weeks
Yeah.
old. Okay. Yeah. I yeah, Kenchika, shout out to Kenchika for Wholesome
We
Games.
love
I'm
her.
super excited. She's gonna be I think Wholesome Game is coming next week
Yeah.
along with or it may be the Xbox Day. I gotta find out. But I'm super excited. Shout out
Yeah,
to
they're all coming out on
Kenchika
that weekend.
on that weekend. Okay.
That whole
Yeah, because
weekend.
Wholesome Games, like I told Kim Chica that I cannot because I asked me and Stephanie asked her about the shirts, be like, are you guys gonna be having shirts again? And she's like, yeah, we will. She's just like, I can't tell you what it is, but you guys go like you really gonna enjoy what we have. So I'm super excited because I buy these shirts. Um Definitely for the cause because like the money that they get for their t-shirts go to the different developers to help continue to develop their game, and that's so cool. And I think Wholesome
Yeah.
Games probably get a portion and stuff. But like, I'm a big supporter of Wholesome Games. Everybody know that every year that they direct come out, I do my best to watch it, and I'm super excited. I told Kenchika a couple of years ago, I was just like, why can y'all not release the soundtrack to to your developer direct? And she was just like, I wish we could. I'm like, you guys be having some hot, casual, chill, hot gems, and it'd be
Right.
so good. It is so good. So,
You'll need to take that
yeah.
day off because I think Boss Rush is co-streaming. We're all co-streaming that, so it'll be fun.
Nice. Yes. The 8.5 is Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney Trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, MLB The Show 24, Unicorn Overlord, and WWE 2K24. Okay, so um, I'm going to start this one. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy definitely deserves an 8.5 because they're just the DS games, um, just like HDFI, um, for a console. Really great game, all funny and everything. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I thought would be higher, like in the nines, so that is kind of surprising. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I thought that would also be higher with Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
I have
That
that
one
game
surprised me.
still wrapped up.
That one surprised
Yeah.
me.
MLB The Show 24 surprises me. Unicorn Overlord, I could see, even though that game has been a big seller. And funny that you spoke about WWE 2K24, Josh. And the reason why I say that, and this is outside of the review, um, is the fact that it was on sale for a couple of weeks everywhere. Like it was like $25 at different places. And so it was just like I'm like, is this game old or is it like new but on a discount? Like it feels so weird to see this game on sale. But I didn't know that it had that high of a rating
I mean,
for this.
it's good. It's one of those ones that I mean, just a little bit of history behind what WWE's done. They released WWE 2K20, and that was a disaster.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
nobody wanted that one, so they skipped 21 and came out with 22. And that one, a lot of people said, "Oh, it's right on the right track." And so since 22, they've started to. I wouldn't say enough to justify getting the game every year unless you're like me and a psycho for wrestling that I do get the game every year, but it's improved enough each year that it's been good to see. I mean, playing 2K24, it has its fault. It has some things it does need to improve, but at the end of the day, even if you're not a wrestling fan, it's a fun fighting game. Even if you're just a fan of fighting games, they have enough in here for you that if even if you have no idea about who Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins is, you're gonna have fun with this because I think the combat's pretty smooth. It's a lot of fun. They've added a lot of unique matches into the. They added the ambulance match where your goal is to throw somebody in the back of an ambulance and shut the door, as well as the casket match where the goal is to throw somebody into a casket and shut the lid. So
Did we
they've
have
added
did
some.
we have that did we have that discussion in the writers chat about Stone Cold beating up Vince McMahon? Oh, that was so funny. Oh,
So, for your
I
reference, Courty, and
Yeah.
anybody who has no idea what we're talking about, during the '90s, during the Attitude Era, there was a segment where Vince McMahon got put in the hospital. It's wrestling. He was in the hospital and was being taken care of, and so somebody came out to take care of him, and it was Stone Cold Steve Austin in scrubs and a mask,
Oh
and
my
he starts
gosh.
beating up Vince McMahon on the bed, and he hits him. This is the best part. He hit him in the head with a bedpan, and it made the loudest noise. Like it's just
boing.
yeah. It's like it's not. And I was listening to Stone Cold in a podcast talk about that, and he's like, we couldn't have asked for that. Like nobody enhanced the sound on that. He's like, we just hit that right, and it just
Yeah.
made that noise like naturally. And I'm like, that makes it so much better. He just hit him in the right spot with that in the head, and it's just like, it's yeah, it's.
That's
If
awesome.
you have no idea what we're talking about, go Google Stone Cold Vince McMahon Hospital, and you'll find it. It's hilarious. It's
Yeah, he
from a
was it.
time of wrestling that was just nonsensical, and it was back when wrestling was cool, and that was one of the reasons why.
And Vince McMahon was in some tidy whities, and it's just like, ah.
Tiny whities.
I like this is on public TV. This is amazing. The early the
Best
Yeah,
two
Saturday
thousands
show,
were
that's for sure.
I tell you, and Josh, you probably could agree. Monday Night Raw was the show. Like
Yeah.
if you were a male who was into like action and sports stuff like that, and into wrestling, you were in the house. You were watching USA Network, and you was watching Monday Night Raw. Like
hmm
SmackDown, if you're committed, you could watch that. But like the ratings for Raw was just like crushing um the other wrestling
Nitro.
one, and it was with Nitro, yeah, WCW. Like it, Monday Night Raw was the show, and it's so funny. Monday Night Raw was the show, but SmackDown was the video game that
Yeah.
you was getting on
Yeah, well,
PlayStation 2.
and the reason for that was just that it was more accessible, just because it was on the UPN at the time, so it was on. Um, it was on terrestrial channels. You didn't have to have a cable
Yeah.
subscription to watch SmackDown, and so it was a
Yes.
tad more family friendly. Which nothing about the Attitude Era was very family friendly, but
Mm-mm.
it was that was a tad more accessible. But yeah, like to your point, Ed, that was like the thing, and it's funny because prior to 1997, wrestling was like still really goofy, very superhero-ish. They didn't quite know it. And Nitro came in, Hulk Hogan went over there. They started doing their thing. They were beating Raw in the ratings for a good while. And then early 1999, they shifted the ratings back, and that was when they had fully embraced the shift to the more edgier content, and that's
Yeah.
where it was like 99 2000, like the year of 2000 was the year of The Rock, because Stone Cold was out injured and The Rock came up, and that's really what launched him into his movie career, was just the year of 2000, because he was so it came to a point where 2001 you have two top guys, and you've never had that again or before that. So yeah, it was a thing. I could do a whole podcast about this, so I won't take up any more time on that. I mean, back circling it back, 8.5 is what that game deserved. It was. I'm not terribly surprised to see it up that high. I'm surprised to see it on the list, just from the fact of, I guess there weren't enough 8.5s to include, so you had to
Yeah.
include this one. But it's a solid, not great, not it's not an awful game, but it's not anything that's going to blow your mind, especially if you're a big wrestling fan and you've been playing these games every year. So
Courtney, what are your thoughts? And then Josh, I will get to you,
Um,
and then
yeah,
we'll move
on
on.
so on the 8.5, I think everything's well deserved on here. Whenever I did see the WWE, I was waiting to see what Josh had to say for it. I thought maybe I was like, okay, if I go first, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, WWE deserves like an 8. It should not be an 8.5, just to stir up the pot a bit. And then when we were talking about Stone Cold, Steve Austin, the dude, he has a TikTok now, and he like farms chickens and stuff, and it's so weird to see him from this, villainous, I'm tough bad guy to, hey, I'm gonna show you how I take care of my chickens. And it's like, oh, cool,
the
you
man,
do that, dude. Like,
the
I'm
man
good
is
for
listening.
full of
you.
surprises. He really is.
Oh,
I've just seen his
yeah,
the
he
stuff he
is.
puts out, and he's like the nicest guy. And they totally trolled everybody not that long ago with him, because he had Cody Rhodes on his podcast a while ago, and he asked him a question. He's like, "What's the best Zelda game?" Because Cody Rhodes is a big Legend of Zelda fan, and he tells him, Cody says, Ocarina of Time, and then Stone Cold comes out of nowhere with, "No, it's Breath of the Wild," and everybody's like, "Wait a minute, Stone Cold knows what Breath of the Wild is?" And then they trolled us even further, and they like did a fake um, picture of Stone Cold on his set, and they had Breath of the Wild up on the screen behind him, and he's got like a Switch controller, like looking like he's playing, and everybody's like,
Oh.
"See, he is a big fan," and it wasn't actually, but no, he's complete opposite of who he portrayed on the screen, and it's
Shout,
hilarious.
shout out to Gon Slow because he still could get it. I'm like, you how old and you still looking that fine? Yeah, you can still get it. Sorry, everybody
Yeah,
for
he came
your
in WrestleMania 38 and beat the crap out of Kevin Owens. That was 2 years ago. He was beating people up.
Well, Josh, what are your thoughts? And then we're gonna get into our next section.
I think this 8.5 is a good list. I think the one you meant when you brought it up, I interjected, but Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth at 8.5 was actually really surprising to me. There was a
Mm,
lot of people who were saying how well that game was and how it actually shined out in terms of the RPGs at the time. We kind of moved on from it. I didn't get a chance to say it. Persona 3 Reload was one that I'm not terribly surprised to see it in its spot, just given that it's an interesting topic. I think that's worth a discussion sometime. But there was a lot of reviewers who pointed out that Persona 5 actually made this game a little bit harder, because they kept the colorful aesthetic of Persona 5, but Persona 3's got a really dark narrative,
mhm.
and seeing it, just that juxtaposition of, oh, it's because it's more colorful than the original from what I understand, and really leaning into what Persona 5 did. but having such a dark theme just really was like kind of a jarring comparison. So I think that's why that one didn't surprise me being there, because that seemed to be the biggest complaint, was that Persona 3 was kind of taking too much from from Persona 5 in terms of its visual aesthetics,
Yeah.
and that they thought it should have been a little bit more Shimigami Tensei type graphics rather than Persona 5. But you know, I think gameplay wise, it seemed like it did good. But in terms of the 8.5, like a Dragon's the biggest surprise. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Um, from what I understand, that game has been. I haven't played the first one, so I haven't gotten into this one either. It seemed like it should have been higher than 8.5, because a lot of people had that closer to a 9. So that seemed a little bit low, but the rest of them are good. Unicorn Overlord, as like you mentioned, that's a solid game, but not anything that was like right home about. But there's a couple games I'm actually surprised to not see up here. Aoden Chronicles is actually one of them I thought would have at least got an 8.5, but
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, everybody, we're gonna get into Pack Watch. So on today, if you guys watch this, Recognize Adventures Respark is available. Recognize Adventures Respark is an electrifying 3-game classic revival collection where players relive the nostalgic side-scrolling experience by becoming Sparkster. The iconic opossum knight will battle an army of robots and pigs in order to save the princess. On 6/14, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is available. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance consists of 2 complete story paths. Experience a brand new route, the Canon of Vengeance, a dramatic tale of revenge by the fallen, centered around new characters in the enigmatic cohort of demons, the Kuraditsu, who plot their own work. Who plot their own dark designs apart from the war of those who fight to maintain order and those who seek to defy it, or explore the original story told in Shin Megami Tensei 5, The Canon of Creation, an eternal conflict between angels and demons in which the protagonist fights for the world's fate. Also on that day, Monster Hunter Stories. Monster Hunter Stories is a RPG that takes the world of Monster Hunter and expands upon it in a new and exciting ways. No longer are you hunting monsters, but raising them. In this deep story featuring heroes known as monster riders, you will live alongside monsters and form lifelong bonds with them. The first installment of the Monster Hunter Stories series returns, fully voiced in Japanese and English, with additional features uh, such as a new museum mode where you can listen to music and view concept art, allowing you to dive even deeper into the world of Monster Hunter Stories. I'm definitely am picking up Rocket Knight Adventures Respark. I love the Rocket Knight series on Sega Genesis. I remember getting the game at the KB Toy Store bin for 1999. And I'm gonna get Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, but I'm gonna get it a little bit later. And Monster Hunter Stories I'll pick up later too. What about you guys?
I think I would watch more of like creators play the Monster Hunter stories, but I don't think I'm
Mhm.
going to be picking up any of these games. I'm more of
Okay.
a cozy gal, you know.
What about you, Josh? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Oh yeah.
I am on mute. Sorry. Um, I think all I would pick up all, um, although I probably shouldn't, just given financials. But Rocket Knight was one I didn't know much about, so I looked it up. I watched the trailer on it just so I knew what I was talking about, and it came out. It's before my gaming time. I was 2 when the original dropped on the Genesis,
Oh wow.
so I had never played it. But watching it, the first thing before I even really did much research, I watched the trailer. My first thought was, this looked like a lot like Sonic the Hedgehog, like the background and everything like that, and just kind of how it carried itself. And then when I saw that it was a Genesis game, it was something there, I was like, okay, this looks like a lot of fun, because I really like those old Genesis Sonic the Hedgehog
Mm-hmm.
games.
Yeah.
Um, I think of the 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is my favorite, but that is I liked all that original trilogy was just a blast, and there's a lot of other side-scrolling Sonic games. So this one really appealed to me. So I think that's one that looks like a lot of fun that particularly intriguing. The other two, I mean, I'm a big RPG fan, so I haven't played a Shin Megami Tensei game, and
Mhm.
the five originally was Switch exclusive, so having this is broadening it out. So I'm interested in that one, and I'm playing the second Monster Hunter Stories right now, and I think that's going to shape on if I go with the first one to try that one out. So that I guess all of these were probably later ones, but Rocket Knight, that one was something that kind of caught me off guard because I had no idea what that was, and then when I watched it and everything, I'm like, okay, no, I think I could get behind this one. I think that's actually the one. Before I knew what it was, I was going to say Shin Megami Tensei was the one I was most excited for, but I think
Yeah.
Rocket Knight now is the one I'm most excited for.
That's
All
awesome.
right. Well, everybody, it's time for question the blog, and we got two questions from our Discord. We have Yari asking, "What property of Nintendo's would you love to see a comeback from?" So, what Nintendo game property you would love to see come back?
Does it have to be
Josh, I'm gonna start
from
with you.
Nintendo?
Yes, they have to be from Nintendo. Uh, Josh, I'm gonna start with you.
So I had a
What
couple
property
I
of
thought of.
Nintendo's would you like?
So I had a couple I
Say that
thought
again.
of. I said I had a couple I thought of. I think the first one. Um, I think we need a new Golden Sun game, a new one, not one of the ports. I mean, it's been when did the one for the DS come out? That's like been 2008, 2009. Like the one on the DS, the third one in that series that often gets forgotten about. But I think we need a new Golden Sun game. And I don't. We're seeing a lot of these RPGs kind of come back. I mean, Visions of Mana is one that's it's been a while since we've had a new Mana game, so why not Golden Sun? The other one, and this one's gonna um, kind of cheating, but I'd like to see a return to form for Paper Mario, like back to what it originally was, like with the first game on the
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo 64 and Thousand Year Door. And yes, we did just get the remake of that, so that's why I admit this is cheating. And we've had Origami King, we've had a lot of ones, but they've really strayed from what those first two games did. And I really liked what they have done with those first two games. So I'd like to see it kind of come back more to its RPG roots and really, have a story because man, those stories are so witty. The writing on both of those stories is just so good. And I just would love to see us get back to that. And then the last one I want to return to, this is my weird one. I want a Donkey Konga game. Give me those bongo drums, and I want to
Yes.
play another one. It has been a long time, and I remember when I first played that game on the GameCube, I thought, "Oh, this is stupid." And then after an hour of playing it, I'm like, "This is my new favorite GameCube game. I need another one."
Give me a
Okay.
Super Mario Dance Dance Revolution so I can dance to Bowser singing about Peach. That's what I want.
So they did have one for Wii, but you
Yeah,
wanted to come back.
I want it to come back. And I want the Super Mario movie song with Bowser singing Peach. Understand. I want to dance to that. I think that that would be really cool. There's one
Wow.
game that I like hold dear to my childhood that I assumed Nintendo made and then just kind of trashed it. But apparently, Bandai was the one who published it, and it's Ribbit King. I don't know if y'all have heard about that game, but like you're rolling this
Yeah.
egg or you're tossing frogs. That's a childhood. I would want them to remake that one. Or it's been 4 years since this game came out, and they haven't really done any more updates for this game. So a new story, a new adventure for the game, I would really love is for Animal Crossing. Give me something new for it, please.
Ah.
I want something new or dig deep back into like Game Boy or Nintendo DS, GameCube. Bring me back Rossetti. I want him back. I
So you
want
can
him to
take
yell
your
at
eyes
me.
again.
Yes. I'll reset my Switch and go, oh, like he's gonna come for me. And he never shows up. I'm like, this is a ripoff. I don't like this.
You know what they should do with Animal Crossing, and this is just me. Um, a lot of these series where they don't necessarily lend themselves to a narrative, Monster Hunters or Etrian Odyssey, these games don't necessarily have narratives, but they've done these stories games. I'd like to see like an Animal Crossing stories game
Yes.
that you keep the Animal Crossing elements, but there's like a story that they're telling within there, and it's like kind of a spin-off game. It's not going to be your traditional Animal Crossing sim game, but it's one that they've created a narrative, and it's one something I don't know what they would do with that, but I'd like to see them kind of go that route and see them go that way within Animal Crossing, um, on top of still doing what they normally do with
Yeah.
the series. But that I think that'd be a fun spin-off to explore.
Right, something like that, or like mom is always like sending you letters in the mail. I would want uh, like a, oh, I'm getting ready to move. Like, here's my mom making me a cake, and here's this, and we're throwing this house party, like a cute little story before leaving. I think
Oh,
I
that's
think I would
where.
want that before hopping on the train or getting on a boat. And it's like, oh my god, this game actually leads to the GameCube game, or it leads to us going on the island in 2020. Like, I think that that would be fun. That would be so cute.
Well, for me, I told Yari I had a lot of games, so but I have four. So Yari, please forgive me. Uh, my first one is of course Elite Beat Agents. I
Hmm.
love that game on the DS. I used to take it when I was working at JCPenney outlet. That used to be my break and lunch game. Like I would just have my headphones on, popping it, and it has one of the best renditions of a Christmas songs. You're my inspiration. That one, it's the best Christmas cover for that game. You can look it up on YouTube and see how it is, but that's one. Geist is a GameCube game from Nintendo, first person shooter where you're this man who's a spirit and you can like take other people and everything and move around. Like stealth, you can hop into dogs, you can hop into cans. It's a really weird game, but they only made one. It's just like of course amazing. Eternal Darkness, of course. I need a sequel to that game. I want that
Yeah.
one literally to come back. And for my last one, oh my goodness, my last one, uh, I I want that sequel to Hotel Darkness to come out. It's called Another Game, but they only came out to Europe. But I would love Hotel Dust Room 213 to get a sequel, like an actual sequel to it. Um, and come out in America.
Yeah.
The people who made Another Code are Recollection. Um, they're they were from the company Sync, who like I think they also made Another Code, but they're the ones that made Hotel Dust and everything. And I would love to have that collection and then just like have a brand new game in the Hotel Dust series on
Yeah.
Switch. So that would be me. Our
That's
final
awesome.
question, yes, our final question comes from Blake, Enigma or Blake. Uh, Dawson hopes for the next Fire Emblem installment. Okay, so I actually did joke about this with him, so but this is not my final answer. I told him that I would love it for the game to be a 2D fighter, like it be a
Wow.
fighting game. Uh, and everything. But I said turn it to a fighting game and let it play like Killer Instinct. Not my final answer, but that would be amazing. Um, Actually, for this one, I know Corey said he wants his pirate ship and everything, but I kind of would love to see. I kind of would love to see Fire Emblem as a 10 level beat 'em up game. Like you get to um pick different fighters from different games, and you're on this left to right arcade path beating up folks. Like let it
So
play
kind of
like
like a Soul
Capcom's.
Calibur, kind of like a Soul Calibur type game.
No,
Mm.
pretty much like 2D, like Capcom's Dungeons and Dragons game, like that,
Okay,
where you play and you level up, and so like you'll do your levels and everything, um, and then like there could be DLC content where they give you more levels and stuff,
gotcha.
or do
Okay,
you like have challenging modes? Like yeah, but I would like to see it as a beat 'em up game. If they go back to like a strategy game, um, I kind of wonder if they would do like a crossover of like Advance Wars and Fire Emblem. You know, like how would that look if the Advance Wars era kind of got sucked up into the Fire Emblem era, and how would they go, like how would their tanks turn, would their tanks turn into like horses or something like that. Like I kind of would
mm,
love that, or you know have Fire Emblem do a crossover with Lupin the third and see what happens. So, or
Nice.
actually Fire Emblem with Metal Gear Solid mechanics. Or something like that. What about you, Courtney?
I never really played Fire Emblem, but I have I've seen a few people play it. I think it would be kind of cool to have it collab or immerse as Octopath Travelers. Like having
Ooh,
each
yes.
character's story kind of. I'm a story girly, okay? I need their mama's drama. I need to hear about their second uncle that murdered their brother kind of drama.
Oh,
Like,
Fire Emblem has a lot of story for a lot of
hmm,
characters.
yeah. But I feel like if you can pick the paths of it, I think that that
You
would be kind of
can.
cool. Keep
You
changing the
actually
story
can.
up. Yeah.
Yep, you
Oh,
can.
well, then I
Yeah,
don't
Sac-
know.
Sacred Stones is kind of like that, where there's a point in the game where you can either follow Erica or follow her brother, and
Ooh.
I mean, and then like toward the end of the game they meet back up, but it's kind of to encourage replay value in that. So I mean, they've kind of dabbled in that, but I don't think they've done what is it, like Three Houses is kind of the only one where that kind of you get split up at the very beginning of the game.
yeah,
Most of
Mm.
them
but
I've
like
played have either done like in the middle of the game, or you have an entirely separate game to experience with the Revelation games on the 3DS, or the
yeah,
Fates
you
games,
could, yeah,
excuse me.
yeah, you can look up some of the Fire Emblems and see like what the decision points that they put into the game. What about you,
Yeah.
Josh?
Um, I kind of think, yeah, I didn't go too wild with my answer. I kind of like what they've started, this trend that they're doing, where it seems like they released a very sim heavy game with Three Houses, and then
Mhm.
Engage seemed to harken back to the old school Fire Emblem. I'd
Yeah,
like to see them kind of continue that trend, where maybe every other game we get a sim game that's more like Fire Emblem Awakening. You got a lot more romances. You got a lot more like very heavy, you know, sim elements, and then you can have another game such as like Engage that really harkens back to your older games where it's a lot more tactics type gameplay, because I think that satisfies a lot of the audience there, because there's a lot of people I've talked to who they don't like the sim approach that Fire Emblem has gone since Awakening. So having these, like having it kind of alternate or maybe go, you know, two two traditional games and then you have another big sim game, I think is a would be a fun approach to do because I
So
think it would encourage me to kind of do more of the more traditional ones.
So Intelligent System, who's the creator of and developers of Fire Emblem in general, um, they ended up hiring Koei Tecmo to work on some of their past games, while Intelligent System worked on Codename Steam and the Paper Mario series. So Intelligent System kind of split up the Fire Emblem series, and since Koei Tecmo did Three Houses and Three Hopes in some of the past ones, um Intelligence, I think Koei Tecmo couldn't do anything because I think they were busy working on other projects. So they decided to do Fire Emblem Engage on their own. So that's why it's harking back to the classics because they're going back to where how Intelligence System developed that game. So I could see the game being split. Koei Tecmo have their version of Fire Emblem, and then Intelligence System have their version of it, and they could bounce
I
off
mean,
each every other 2 years or something or whatever.
it's a big enough franchise that you could really feasibly split it and have two separate routes. Like in
Hmm.
terms of you could do what the Fire Emblem games do. You could just kind of like you mentioned there's a way to split that, and I think that would it would be interesting to see what they could come up with because I always feel like Fire Emblem as it's a big franchise that's been around for a long time. However, in the
Yeah.
states, because we didn't get it until essentially Super Smash Brothers Melee, we didn't when we got our first game in the states shortly after that. It doesn't feel like it's that old of a franchise, but it's one of Nintendo's longest running
So
Yeah.
franchises.
we didn't get Fire Emblem. I think we got it on Game Boy Advance or we got it
Hmm.
on uh
We got the
3DS.
one right before Sacred Stones, and it's just called Fire Emblem, and it's supposed
Yeah.
to be the prequel to Roy's game because
Yeah, cuz we didn't get none of the
yeah.
Nintendo versions until yeah, it's a weird history. I know the one that came out like on Switch that was a limited time. That one was the Nintendo one, but
Hmm.
which never came here. And then I think they remade Shadow of Valencia. I think that is NES one that came to like 3DS or
Hmm.
DS. It's a weird history, but I remember some of the games didn't start coming into like GBA started. Because once GBA came happened, that's when they started doing the Fire Emblem, and then GameCube and so forth and so forth.
Right.
So well, we're gonna get into our final thoughts and then we're gonna wrap up the show. Josh, any final thoughts?
Um, it's a really exciting time the with the Summer Game Fest, and in particular, it's been a minute since we've had a Nintendo Direct. I know that there's the is it have they officially confirmed the June Direct, or is it still just a rumor at this point?
So it is going to be a June direct. We're just waiting for dates. We're just waiting for the
Okay,
date for it to be announced.
because I am excited for that because, I mean, it's abundantly obvious we're at the sunset of the current Nintendo Switch, and I know that this direct they have said that it's not going to talk about the new system at this point. So it's
Yes.
exciting to see where we're going to go because when you're in this kind of you've got the Switch in the retirement home now. You're still giving it some more remakes. You're getting some more stuff in terms of like first party games. It's kind of slowed now, and you're getting a lot more remakes and a lot more stuff to kind of tide you over till the new system gets out. So I'm excited to see where they go there, just because I think there's going to be a lot of fun games
Hmm.
that and some simple games. I mean, some of the rumors are floating around. There's a rumor of Oracle, Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages or Seasons, kind of coming out in the Link's Awakening chibi style. I've seen that kind of get floated around a little bit. I don't know how much merit there is to that, but if they release that, that would be cool because those Oracle games have not seen the light of day for 20 years. I think they just recently got put on NSO. So,
No, they were on
oh, they're not
NSO.
yet. They're not yet.
Yeah,
You're right.
they are.
Oh, they
Oracle's
are.
an H.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't. They came out when the Game Boy NSO came out, so they was
Th-
there when they came out.
those are
Uh,
insanely underrated Zelda games. Like they are really good. They're they're dated by today's standards, but they're a lot
I
of fun. I love them.
I I beat Season. I never beat Ages, so I just gotta get back on my Switch and beat Ages.
Ages, I think, is I played Seasons first, and then I played Ages, and I like Seasons more. But a lot of people like Ages more. I mean, I think they like the time traveling element just because that's inherent in Zelda in a lot of ways. But I thought controlling the seasons was pretty cool because it made for some unique puzzle solving, just depending on the seasons that you could change with. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'd love to see those come back. I'm excited to see what Nintendo has coming out this month. Just given where we're at in the Switch's life cycle, just they're clearly focusing to the future. So what are they going to give us to tide us over? And that's
Yeah,
what I'm excited about.
yes.
I am
Well,
right
Courtney,
behind you on that one.
what are your final thoughts, Courtney?
Um, let's see. I am excited for the new Switch. I'm more excited about Summer Game Fest though. And seeing like what's gonna happen, what's being provided to us, and then what kind of like curveballs are happening. Because there's I'm still learning more into it, but the Steam Next Fest is like around, but there's like not really understandable website details or any hidden features. I talked to CG Danny B
Yeah,
about it because he's doing the Steam Next Fest, and he's like, you just gotta do outreach for it. There's not a sign up sheet like the Summer Game Fest. I was like, who do I outreach though? Like how does that work? And he's like, you've got to just it's like a hunt. You've got to find who's doing what, but you can't say who's doing who yet. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I mean, I'm excited more about the hunt of it than anything really. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really it. I'm really excited. I'm just there's so much going on, and it's like, oh, summer's not going to be boring this year.
okay.
What about you, Ed?
Well, for me, everybody, my final thought is, it is the summer direct where we're going to be seeing a lot of games from a lot of places. Um, like I said, we haven't seen the Xbox direct or anything, but I think by the time you guys see this, hopefully there are some games that they show that you do enjoy. Hopefully Nintendo's is like probably gonna be at the end of the year. I mean end of the month. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the IGN. My thing is really just be positive and be excited for the games that is being announced, and hopefully they are able to come out this year. Enjoy the shadow drops. Because I'm like, we're getting ready for unknown holiday and fall season. Like literally at this time, there's a lot of games that we don't know. Microsoft is leading in what we know with Avowed and with Indiana Jones. So we do know that, but outside of that, we don't really know much what Sony and Nintendo and what other third parties companies are doing. So I just want everybody to be excited. Make sure that you got your snack, that you're staying cool, get your water and everything. And hopefully there's not any leaks that ruin the directs that
Yeah.
you guys and the showcases that you guys are gonna see. And just really be nice. Even though if there are gonna be some things that you feel disappointed, celebrate the things that you are happy about that is revealed. And keep it at that. With that, everybody, I want to thank you, Josh. I want to thank you, Courtney, for joining me on this episode of Nintendo Pow Block. It was really a blast to have you guys on here. Courtney, if you want to go and plug, where can they find you?
Oh gosh, you can find me anywhere that starts with a T: Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Courty _ Yikes, and then everywhere else, same thing too. So
All right. And Josh, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can head over to Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days. I'm at jmartinez064, and you can bask in my wrestling analysis and my Boss Rush articles. Also, head over to bossrush.net, where not just myself, but both of you are
Mhm.
have articles that you write for there. But I'm a copy editor over on the writing team. So, I mean, I get to see a lot of fantastic content we have
Uh,
going up
I
there. So, just
you get ready for mine because I'm probably gonna send it to you Friday. Because I gotta write. Actually, I might send it to you on Thursday of this week. It's my article is the top 10 Hanna-Barbera theme songs to their cartoons.
no, great, fantastic. As somebody who lives in the entertainment side of the site, I fully support this article.
Yeah, because
I'm 100 I'm 100% on board with that one. That's a good one, Ed.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast and they was talking about some Hanna Barbera cartoons and they started talking about Scrappy Doo and everything. And I was just like, you wanna know what? Hanna Barbera did have some hits with their theme songs to their TV shows, like Josie and the Pussycats. I'm not gonna say more because I don't want to ruin it. But I'm like, I think if I go back and I make that list of the top 10 songs, I think people would definitely agree. For that.
My number one, and it's a little bit cheating because it's not a classic one, although it's over 20 years old now. The "What's New Scooby Doo" theme song from
Oh,
Simple Plan
yeah.
is
Huh?
just on a whole nother level. But that's just from my era of I really enjoy that pop punk music. So Simple Plan is up there among my favorite bands. So hearing them do a Scooby Doo theme song is just
That was on
amazing.
Cartoon Network.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was
Because it was
the
like their
early
new episode.
2000s Scooby Doo, and
Yeah.
it's this isn't Hanna Barbera, but also that kind of in that same realm. Bowling for Soup doing the Phineas and Ferb theme song,
Yeah.
like that's like all of. I'm like, give me all the the pop punk bands. Have Good Charlotte doing one, have Blink 182 doing another. I don't care. I want more of that.
Yes. Well, with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.